Star Trek Discovery now. Any Star Trek fans here? Yeah, thank you. Bless you. Thank you for sticking with us on that. I started a long time ago. I've been acting now for 33 years. I started in 1986. So it's been a long time. It's weird because I'm only 27 years old. Isn't that weird? I know. I don't get it either. But actually, no, I just turned 59. Don't I look amazing? Right? Thank you. Always, thank you. I did. I begged for that one. Thank you. So anyway, there's 4 microphones up here. We could play like games and stuff. We could juggle. I can't juggle, but where should we start? Without a moderator here, I'm like, I could start when I was born in 1960, but that's kind of let's jump ahead. I was goofy theater boy in high school, sure. Ran track and cross country, yep. Let's jump to college. I went to Ball State University, Indiana. She and I went to Ball State, and majored in radio and TV broadcasting. Had a minor in theater, and that's where I discovered the mime troupe. There was a mime troupe on campus called Mime Over Matter. That's a pun. I know. And so that's where I learned the art of non-verbal dialogue, basically. So that mime training was really quite crucial in what was to come for me, which I had no idea. I set out to go to Hollywoodland in 1985, finally, with a dream of being a sitcom star. Because I grew up watching sitcoms like, I Love Lucy and the Dick Van Dyke Show, and I know, right, and the Andy Griffith Show with Barney Fife as the, deputy. I loved the goofy guys on TV, at Gilligan's Island, Gomer Pyle, right? Hogan's Heroes, and it goes on and on and on. And the Carol Burnett Show, and in movies like Jerry Lewis and Danny Kaye, and even the old ones like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton. Those people inspired me because they were not handsome leading men, and neither is this. So I knew I had to be either funny or scary when I, had a career. So I thought sitcoms were where I was going to go, and I had no idea. My first agent I had was a TV commercial agent. I met him in a TV commercial acting workshop, and he gave me his card after my second class and said, "Hey, do you have an agent yet? Here's my card. Call me at the office." So I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so easy!" So I got my first agent that way and started going out on TV commercial auditions and booked my first one as a dancing mummy in a Southwest Airlines commercial. I was so excited though. Like, oh my God, I'm a big star. I was wrapped from head to toe in dirty bandages. But it was a gig. And then from there, that was my first booking. My fourth booking after that was the Mac Tonight campaign for McDonald's. Does anybody recognize the crescent moon head that sang at the piano? Hey, when the clock strikes 6:30, wait. Well, that was me in the Moonhead, and that I ended up doing that commercial campaign for 3 years, a total of 27 commercials as that character. So that really I bought my first house with that. Thank you, McDonald's, right? I still love their value menu. I do. Right? Come on now. Thank you. My hoity-toity actor friends are like, "What? You're not eating sushi?" No, I want that number 3. What are you talking about? So then that was that campaign though, that a lot of creature effects people would work on our commercial shoot with us, because Steve Neal, the one who created the Moonhead and all of its mechanics, he needed to borrow people. He ran his shop out of his garage, out of his house. So he needed to borrow people from the creature effects world, from big shops like Stan Winston Studios or Rick Baker's shop or Greg Canham's studio. And then he'd have a team in place to puppeteer and to fix the head and all that maintenance upkeep. And then we would finish the commercial shoot and they'd all go back to their respective shops that they came from. That's how my reputation grew, was because something might come up at Rick Baker's or Stan Winston's shop that would be a movie with a tall, skinny alien in it. And somebody would say, I just worked with a guy that looks just like that, right? So I would get a call. So the referral process started early on for me that way, and it just kind of snowballed downhill, getting bigger and bigger and faster over the years. So my career kind of happened like this secondary career happened for me that I wasn't expecting. I was still thinking like I want to be a goofy guy on sitcoms, and all of a sudden I'm getting asked to play monsters in movies and TV and commercials all the time. So that worked out well, because that led us all the way up to. I mean, and so credits along the way. I got to be. That led me into Tony Gardner, his hands to create Billy Butcherson on me for the movie Hocus Pocus. Yeah. And Sarah Sanderson is here today. Yeah, thank you, love. That was just a dreamy experience for me to be in a Disney happy ending, feel good Halloween movie that became a classic. What a treat that has been all these 26 years that's been running on TV again and again and again and again. I also did. Oh, anyone see a couple of kangaroo movies I was in? I know, I played a kangaroo man twice. Who can say that, right? The first time was in a little movie called Tank Girl. Anybody? Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? The Ripper guys. Yeah, I was one of the 6 Rippers, and there were eight of us, I guess. Anyway, and then the second one I did was Warriors of Virtue. Anybody? Kung fu fighting, kind of like the Ninja Turtles, only much more serious, and with kangaroos. So yeah. We were teaching lessons about virtuous living and righteousness and all that. So 1997 rolls around, and I get a phone call from one of those creature effects guys saying, "Hey, are you free for a shoot tonight downtown Los Angeles?" I'm like, "Out of work actor." "Yep, I'm free." So I went downtown Los Angeles and I put on a bug costume, like a big giant cockroach that looks sort of like a man, though, for the movie Mimic. Anybody see Mimic? Yeah, yeah, thank you. For those of you who haven't seen it, Mimic is a story about a bunch of overgrown cockroaches that take over the New York subway system, which is possible. So they were doing reshoots or pickup shots for this movie, and that's why it was a quick phone call and then work tonight. They filmed the movie in Toronto. It was about to come out in theaters about 3 weeks from now, and so the call came. They were trying to do some extra footage, some pickup shots to edit into the movie work to make it flow better. So they were missing their big cockroach guy who was a Canadian and couldn't work in the States. So I got the call. Out came this tall, skinny guy, Rolodex. Doug Jones. So that's why I got the phone call. And that was, I ended up working 3 days on Mimic, and that movie happened to be directed by Guillermo del Toro. Hello, right? Yes. So that was the most blessed day of my life that I met that man, because he has become a 20-year, professional relationship for me that has been life-changing for me. We got along really well on that shoot, and he sat down. My second day of work, he sat down at the table across from me at lunchtime and said, "So tell me everything you've been in before." So I list off my resume to him. He's like, "Oh," and he knew every makeup artist I'd ever worked with, and he loves monsters and creepy crawly things, and he loves the people who make them. So we had a lot to talk and kibitz about, and it was like two 12-year-old boys just getting excited about monsters, like. So he asked for my card, and then 5 years later, 2002 now. I have done some more work in the meantime. I did my Buffy episode in the meantime, right? Yeah, Buffy fans here? Where I played the lead gentleman. We were very kind and gentle, but we did tear hearts out at the same time, didn't we? Bless my heart. Bless your heart. And also did, I did a movie called Monkey Bone. Right? Yes, with Brendan Fraser. I was the Yeti in that. There's a bunch of critters in Coma Town, so I was one of those. And I did The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. I played I know, right? Not crazy. I did I was one of the FBI agents who got turned into a carrot. Long story. But, yeah. And then the Time Machine. I was also I was the lead spy Morlock in the Time Machine remake that Guy Pearce starred in. List goes on and on and on. It's 2002. Get a phone call. "Hey Doug, it's your friend Steve Wang." Steve Wang is a creature creator that is he's fantastic. He's worked on me many times before. We knew each other, and he said, I'm out to dinner right now with a director friend who says he knows you, and we're discussing a creature for you to play, maybe. So can you come in and meet us tomorrow? Well, can I tell you what happened? Okay. So that director happened to be Guillermo del Toro, and the movie happened to be Hellboy 1. Right? I know. So apparently earlier that day, what happened was the creature effects team at Spectral Motion Studios had done a maquette, a sculpture, a scaled down sculpture of Abe Sapien. And there he was in sculpted glory, all one color, because it had just been sculpted out of clay. And they were going to show this to Guillermo to get his approval for this character. So when Guillermo walks into the room that day, they unveil this for him, and rumor has it that he fell to his knees. And he said, I am so fat. Right? Isn't that right? It's a head scratcher, but I think he meant, what a beautiful, thin creature. I think that's what he meant. But so anyway, so in that moment is when the creature effects team had all worked with me. Steve Wang and Mike Elizalde, who owned the shop, and Jose Fernandez, who sculpted this maquette, all knew me, and they said, you know who really needs to play this is Doug Jones. Guillermo del Toro said, Doug Jones, wait, I know Doug Jones. And he pulled my card out of his wallet that I gave him 5 years earlier, right? Right? So that's why I got the phone call, and that's how Hellboy happened for me. And that really cemented my relationship with Guillermo even tighter over that 3-month shoot, and getting to know each other as actor and director, and getting a sense of, ooh, water, yay, this one's good, yeah, it's good, yeah. Don't get way up for the next fella. Okay, sure. These are tiny, it's a lot of packaging for very little product.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, but we're not here to talk about that. So anyway, so after Hellboy 1 and its success, I ended up, what was next? Oh goodness, next came for me. So it was about a year later, in 2005, I get a phone call on the same day. I got a referral to be the robot number 7 in the Benchwarmers. Anybody see the Benchwarmers? Yeah, right. John Lovitz was an eccentric billionaire who had a butler that was a robot played by me, and my name was Robert number 7. The same day that I had my meeting at Sony Pictures to meet the director and say, yes, this is going to work, I got a phone call from Guillermo del Toro's U.S. assistant saying, can I get a script to you today? Guillermo wants you to be in his next movie. Like, what? Yeah, oh. So that movie was Pan's Labyrinth. Hello? I know. So I read the script for Pan's Labyrinth. I wiped tears away, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I got a hold of him right away and told him, yes, of course I have to be in this movie. Thank you so much for offering this to me. And so that became the next ride that went all the way through the Golden Globes and the Oscars, and there was so much love, wasn't there? Yeah. Oh my gosh. At the Oscars, that was my first time attending the Academy Awards. It was kind of a big deal. Can I tell you my Joan Rivers story? Absolutely. Now y'all know who Joan Rivers is, right? The woman who had lots of work done, and she was known for the Fashion Police on E! Channel, but long before that had a long career as a stand-up comedian, talk show host. She's been everything over the years, and I've been a fan of hers every step of the way. And she kind of created the red carpet experience, right? So like all of the red carpet interviews on TV and the what are you wearing thing, that all came from Joan Rivers. She was like the queen of that and the creator of the hype around that. So I thought to myself, if I can just get interviewed one day by Joan Rivers on a red carpet somewhere, I will have made it, right? So here I am at the Oscars 2007 thinking, this might be my night. Sure enough, I just finished with Extra, talking to them, and my publicist was like, Joan Rivers will talk to you now. I'm like, right? So there she was, and like, oh my gosh, to see her in person, right? She's had so much work done. It's like, it's fascinating to look at. Right? God rest her soul, she passed away a few years ago, but To look at the face, you fight the urge to go tink tink tink. Is it real? It doesn't move. So anyway, they were at a commercial break, so we hadn't started our interview yet. So she's handed a stack of cards. She had a whole box of cards there about all the nominated movies, and we had 6 nominations that year. My makeup artists were one of them, and they ended up winning that night. So yes, I know. So she gets her Pan's Labyrinth cards, and she's looking at this. So we're at a commercial break, so the cameras are not on us, right? She says, "How do you pronounce that?" And I looked at the card and I said, "Oh, that's Labyrinth." She said, "Labyrinth. Did you know that before the movie?" I did. A lot of us probably did. So anyway, so the camera's, bless her. She's a smart woman. I'm not sure how that word got past her. But now we're live, and she starts the interview, and it's going great. She's asking all the questions I already knew the answers to, and talking about Guillermo del Toro and the crazy creatures and the fantasy and the arts of this movie. Then I see her eyes kind of glaze over, because she's listening to an earpiece in her ear, right? And she's got a producer in a van somewhere saying, "Ask him about the makeup." So she comes back and goes, "Okay, you have worn a lot of crazy makeups over the years, right? Have you ever had any problems with skin irritations or allergies?" And I said, "Oh, no, thank heaven. I've never had any issues or bad reactions or allergies to adhesives or removers or latex foam products or silicone products." When I said silicone products, I'm looking at a face stuffed full of it, right? So I couldn't help myself without thinking. I didn't edit I couldn't edit. I said without thinking, "Well, you know what I mean." But I didn't, you guys. I wasn't trying to be mean. I just thought, oh, she can relate, of course, right? I had waited all my life to meet Joan Rivers. And this is how I treat her? Oh, no, this is terrible. I'm a terrible person. I'm really terrible. You guys should all leave right now because I'm a terrible person. Anywho. So Pan's Labyrinth, yes. Great ride that went on. And then, so after that, I ended up also filming the Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, in which I got to play the Silver Surfer. So very, very excited to be a Marvel character. And that was before the Marvel movies had really taken off like they are. So I was at the early end of that. And I got to meet our beloved Stan Lee before he passed away years ago. I presented a Lifetime Achievement Award to him at a film festival. And that night when I met him, he told me that the Silver Surfer was his favorite character that he ever created and wrote for. I'm like, oh. So that was very touching to hear, and I asked him why, and he said it was because he could wax poetic about the human condition, about the world, about the planet, about what we're doing to each other, to ourselves, to our world, and from the eyes of a visitor from another world. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's a good story. I'll never forget, and I never have forgotten that moment. He's a dear, sweet, sweet man. Anyhow, so it was an honor to play the surfer in that. And then after that, we did Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Yes, back again for more Guillermo del Toro love. And in that, I got to reprise my role of Abe Sapien, the Bluefish guy, and play the Angel of Death, and play the Chamberlain. So it's like Guillermo del Toro. He's making me play multiple characters now. You see a lot. Because in Pan's Labyrinth, I was the Faun and the Pale Man, right? Yeah, I saw you guys doing it earlier. Yeah, he's out here. And so now playing 3 characters in Hellboy 2, like, oh my gosh. I didn't know where I was and I'd read the script by now, and Abe Sapien was in Hellboy 2 much more, a bigger part of the storyline. So I asked Guillermo, when am I going to have time to do 2 more characters for you? And he said, well, one of those characters I wrote just for you. And the other character, I didn't know who else I was going to get. So thank you. 3 characters for the price of 1, you cheap ass, is what I said. But there's love. There's love. There's love. So, anywho, so Hellboy 2 went very well as well, and after that, then I did a cameo or 2 cameos in his movie Crimson Peak. Did anybody see Crimson Peak?
Yeah.
I love that movie. It's so beautiful. It was advertised as a horror film, so people were expecting blood and guts, but it was really more of a gothic romance tale. And I got to play 2 of the ghost ladies in that. One, I was the black-veiled mother ghost in the beginning, and I was also the bathtub ghost in the haunted mansion. So yeah, I brought the best lady I could bring you. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you're wearing a corset and a skirt and a hat, it's like that's okay. That you can channel some of it. The bathtub ghost. I'm a stark, naked, saggy old woman with an axe in my head. And I have to kind of sell this. So they reconfigured my entire body. I had a whole bodysuit prosthetic that gave me saggy breastages and a little bit more hip than I have, and you know. And but I'm thinking to myself, gosh, a stark, naked, skinny man standing up out of a bathtub and trying to make people believe this is somebody's mother from another life. So before Take 1 rolls, I thought to myself, I gotta sell the woman. Bring your best woman. So I stand up out of the bathtub, and I put my leg over the edge, and my other leg, and I start walking down the bathroom floor. And Guillermo del Toro yells, "Cut! Doggy, can you butch it up? It's too sexy." I was too sexy. Yes. So I guess I worked. I brought the woman. Yes. Anywho, so then after that, I also got to do his TV show, The Strain, which I did 6 episodes of. I was his one of the ancient vampires, and then also in one episode, at the beginning of season 2, they did a flashback to see how the master became the master. Well, I was the scraggly old Gollum-like master, original master, who barfed in this guy's mouth and made him the new master. So that was a little flashback scene that I did. Well, barfed bugs or dirt. Well, I don't know what it was, but yeah, it was all CG. I didn't really barf in his mouth. And then, of course, then we keep going on this ride. I ended up doing 3 seasons on a TV show called Falling Skies, if you remember that. Yeah, I played the alien Cochise. I was the leader of the Volm race. And I had a great time on that show for 3 years, getting to play in sci-fi as an alien, and little did I know what was coming for my life. But I'm now during Crimson Peak, the filming of it, I had a day off, and Guillermo del Toro called me into his office on one of my days off to share lunchtime with him, and he told me, "Dougie, come in. I shut the door. I want to tell you about my next movie." Right? Like, oh, it was exciting, wow. And he started telling me the story of The Shape of Water. Right? Didn't have a script, he didn't have a script written yet. He was just telling me the story verbally, here's how it's gonna go, I want you to play the fish man in this. And he said, he said, but I wanna make sure you're gonna be okay with this, and that your wife is going to be okay with this. Never had this talk before. So I said, what could be wrong? He said, well, now for kids, he used a bad word. So he said, well, there's an F scene. In a fish scene? So I said, I'm just like, how are they gonna, how do you do that? He goes, well, it'll be in a bathtub. In a bathtub? I said, start at the beginning and get me to the tub, and then I'll tell you how I feel about it. So anyway, when he told me the story, I was just like, oh, this is beautiful. It's so innocent and gorgeous, and of course I want to do it. Yeah, glad I did. Okay, because we ended up at the Oscars a second time. Yeah, with 13 nominations. And so he goes home that night with the Best Director award, which he well deserved, and Best Picture as well. So I got to hop up on stage with the whole team and accept that award with him. It was just a dreamy night of my life. And then in the middle of halfway through filming The Shape of Water, I'll be honest with you guys, I was having some, because I was already 56 by then, and I'm thinking like, how much longer can I wear these rubber bits? Right? And I was thinking, maybe I'll phase that part of my acting career out a little bit. Then I get an offer. What do you think it was for? Star Trek Discovery to play an alien. I'm back on. Yeah, okay. So I had a meeting to play Saru, the first Kelpian in the Star Trek franchise. And what an honor and treat that has been for me. Oh my goodness, to help create a new species for that franchise, for that beloved franchise that has such a legacy behind it. So I had no idea that my rank would climb as it has. I'm now the first officer. Actually, now I'm acting captain. We'll see how long this lasts and where we go in season 3. But it's been a great, joyous ride to be part of something so historical. Anyway, so right now I'm about a week away from moving back to Toronto, where we're gearing up to start filming season 3. Awesome. So thank you. Awesome. So anyway, in the meantime, then you guys might have some questions. I hope, and if so, there's no microphone runner around, and I don't know if this even works. But so anyway, just yell it from your seat. I'm sure it's a small room. We'll do fine. Yes.
Maybe not.
Did I catch you in the middle of a Mars bar? Or?
That was what I was.
I remember this word on the street about Justice League Dark for the DC universe. I'd only heard the rumor with you. I've never talked to him about it ever before. If so, I wouldn't hate playing Dead Man.
Yes!
I'm just saying, so thank you for asking. But that's all I know at this point, is I would love to, but no one's offered it. Okay.
Anybody, yes. Oh, we have a microphone.
You once had mentioned you had a dream of doing a Hallmark movie. Has that happened yet?
Oh, yes. Well, this is the wrong room for this, probably. But yeah, when asked, like, what haven't you done that you'd like more of, or whatever, it's like, I am a Hallmark Channel junkie. I watch these. No, I do, totally do. I have it. But the thing about Hallmark movies, you can walk away and do something and come back, and you haven't really missed anything. Right? Yeah. So they all kind of, the formula, and they all end happy, and the two people always get together and they save their first kiss for the last minute of the movie. You know it's coming, so you can time it on your watch. What's going to happen when you should? Yeah. So I did a Hallmark Channel movie for the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries channel. It was called The Ultimate Legacy. I did it about 3 years ago, and I was a butler. And my boss lady was Raquel Welch. I know, like an icon from the 60s and 70s for you young folk. But I had such a ball. I was a butler. I wore a 3-piece suit with a bow tie and a watch chain, and I was in and out of the makeup trailer in 10 minutes with a little bit of boom, boom, and a boom, boom in the hair, and you were done. Oh, no, that was dreamy. Yeah. More of that, please. Yeah. So every interview I've given, when someone asks me, so what is there yet to do that you would love to do? I always bring up the Hallmark Channel, and I had a producer get a hold of me on Facebook of all places, and he said, "Hey, I was just listening to an interview of yours where you want to do more Hallmark movies. I produce about 5 a year. Would love to have you." Yeah, so anyway, but now my Star Trek schedule is kind of keeping things at bay for the moment, but we're going to keep in touch. Oh yeah. It's game on, girl. Okay, thank you for asking. Okay, wherever you go. Right here, yes.
Raquel Welch, that's the lady on the picture in Shawshank, right? Shawshank Redemption.
It was a poster of her from
1 million years
BC. That's
yeah.
the one. Yes.
All your stories and all your like famous roles that you're talking about are roles that were more or less they were outsourced or you were handpicked. Were there any roles that you actively sought out that you wanted to get that you got?
Wow, that's a great question. No, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy, but the ones I've had to campaign for and seek out and go audition for are the human roles for casting directors who don't know if they can trust my acting as a human, believe it or not. So if you've seen me on a sitcom at all, or which I have done several, or I've done I did a CSI, 2 episodes of Criminal Minds. I was on The Guardian way back. Anybody remembers that show? Or A Party of Five. I did. Yeah, no, I've done a ton, and I had a recurring role on. Here's the one I fought for. I had a recurring role on The Neighbors on ABC. It was a silly sitcom about a family that moved into a little subdivision in New Jersey. They didn't know that all their neighbors were aliens posing as humans. I was one of those neighbors, right? In about 6 episodes of the first season. That's right before I got Falling Skies, and so Falling Skies was offering me a series regular contract, so I had to leave The Neighbors. I felt terrible, but it was a better gig. So, but I had to go, do the whole like me, please like me. I'm auditioning for the showrunner, Dan Fogelman, who's huge. And turns out he did like me, so that worked out well. Yeah, but I went back for callbacks, and the audition process can be thankless and drudgery if because you're told no a lot. So it takes some courage and the guts of steel to face that kind of rejection on a daily basis. So, but I have done it, and thankfully it's been successful here, and there. So thank you for asking. Let's go. Actually, while you're right here, right here.
Okay, so obviously you've done a lot of Guillermo del Toro movies. Which one was your favorite role?
Oh, I get asked the favorite question all the time. It's so hard to single out the one favorite, especially after acting for 33 years. I have so many characters I love. Out of Guillermo del Toro's movies specifically, gosh, he writes such gorgeous parts for me. They're all my children, so it's hard to say pick your favorite kid. You can't tell the other kids anyway, right? Yeah. Well, fun filming would be Abe Sapien probably for both Hellboy movies. But most meaningful and that had the most dramatic gravity and the most heartfelt was the Amphibian Man from The Shape of Water. To get to play a romance like that with no verbal dialogue ever spoken, and Sally Hawkins is the most gorgeous and brilliant co-star I've ever had in anything ever. No, that kind of experience is just unmatchable. So, yeah, thank you, love. Thank you for asking. Somebody back here, yes.
Hi. So, when you're putting on your makeup and stuff and costumes, when you're about to do a role, how do you just sit still for so long?
Oh, that's the easiest part of my day. Because a lot of folks get antsy and want to move around and then aren't patient and all that. I am the most boring human being you'll ever meet. I love sitting still and doing nothing. I'm kind of upset I have to talk right now, to be honest. So being in a makeup chair, my makeup artist, when you said, and you said when you're putting all your makeup on, I'm just sitting there having it put on me. They're doing all the work in that moment, really. Sometimes I do have to stand or squat on a stool or something if they're working all around my whole entire body and gluing things on the back of my calf or whatever. And oftentimes I'll have a team of 3 people that are doing different things on different parts of me at the same time. That's when it gets a little bit more participatory. And when you're doing, the longest on-running makeup I did day to day was 7 hours a day for the first Hellboy movie as Abe Sapien, when I was just wearing shorts and you saw lots of fish guy. That's a lot of makeup to put on. There were 12 glued-on prosthetic pieces that had blended edges that had to blend in with my shaved skin, and so they had to airbrush, and there was a lot of work to be done from head to toe. So that was 7 hours a day. That got tedious, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Because once you finish the full workday, you have to now go to work for another 10, 12 hours of shooting, and then you have 2 hours of makeup removal. So that makes for a long day. Yeah. But something like the Amphibian Man from The Shape of Water, that was a much more intricate looking beast, but it went on in 3 hours because it was more of a suit. You could slip most of it on and zip it up the back, and then add glued on parts afterward, right? So that went on much, much faster. So it all depends on the design, how it's put together, and how it slips on me or glues onto me. Yeah. But thank you for asking. Okay, so yay. So let's see. How about this nice lady right here? One of my pale men.
Hello. So wearing makeup, can be really uncomfortable. So when you first started doing parts with like really heavy makeup, did you have to get past any kind of like claustrophobia or just like
don't want to do it?
Right. Thankfully, no. And the claustrophobic thing is something you can't turn. We don't know where the on/off switch is for that, right? Because if you're getting encased in something and you freak out, once the freak out starts, you can't stop it. Like, get it off of me! Yeah. So thankfully, I've just never had that. I'm boring. I love quiet. I would probably love one of those deprivation tanks, I'm sure. So that's fine for me. The scariest part of the entire makeup process is at the very beginning when they're making a life cast of your head and shoulders. They're encasing you in, alginate that then they put plaster bandages over so it gets hard, and all that's left is 2 nose holes, and that's it. You're inside, right? So don't go on to get one of those done on the day that you have a nasal infection or a cold, right? Yeah. So that can be. And in a moment like that, you can freak yourself out thinking, this is how I will die. So it's good when they're putting that on you to have somebody at the shop just keep a hand on you. If my hands can touch another human being, it's all better. It's all fine. Yeah, it's all in here. It's all in here. But yeah. And makeups and suits are different from each other too with the head. Oftentimes, when a prosthetic piece is glued onto me and they're using my own eyes and my own mouth, that's more of a makeup application. It becomes a second skin to you. But then there's also the kind that go and then, so you're wearing some kind of a mechanical mask with the eyes out here somewhere, and you're kind of peeking through cracks in the face, and they have to blow air into the mouth just to give you some circulation between takes. That can be a bit more claustrophobic perhaps, right? But you just have to trust they're going to take it off at the end of the day. I think that's, and they always have. That's why I'm sitting here now. So haven't died yet. Thank you, love. Okay, what's that say? My eyes are horrible. 10 minutes? 10 minutes. Okay, good. Let's see. How about the nice in the tank top there? Yes.
So this isn't really a question. My friend Andrea couldn't make it today, so she just wanted me to let you know that she loves you and you're her favorite character in all of her favorite movies.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. Is that you recording now?
Yes.
Thanks, Andrea. I love you too.
Thanks.
Okay, and then there was somebody right in. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How about the nice fellow in the Star Trek Discovery uniform here? Yes, that deserves a microphone.
The character is Saru, of course. I noticed he has his own distinctive way that he moves and walks. Was that your idea? And also, how much of your influence came into that character?
Well, with television, it is very much a writer's medium. The writers give us all the information we need, basically. So as far as his backstory, his motivations and all that, the writers take care of all of that, and they do such a beautiful job. I wouldn't want to muck that up. As far as his physicality, what I do with that information, now that's up to me, right? How does it play out of Saru on a day-to-day basis? So when I was in my first costume fitting, our Starfleet uniforms like the one you're wearing, mine came with a special pair of boots because my species has hoof feet, like a gazelle or a deer, right? So they had to make a Starfleet boot that went around my hoof feet. Well, what that is, it's like those Lady Gaga shoes. If you've seen, it's like a high heel shoe with no heel under it, so it looks like more like an animal leg. And when I first, let me experiment for you. When I first put those on, I was put up on my tiptoes. I'm like, oh gosh, how am I gonna walk like this? Oh, good gosh. And so the guy who made the shoes even said it might help if you put your hips a little bit forward to get your balance. It puts more weight on the ball of the foot, so you're not going like this all the time. So I did that. I was like, oh, well, that's easier. And then I noticed that my hands were just slightly behind me instead of next to me. They were back here, right? So as I'm walking around the costume department room with a big mirror, I'm just like going, okay. And then I thought, well, wait, if my hands are back here, what if I sway them side to side instead of forward and back? So that's where that came from. This was within 2 minutes of putting the boots on, right? So anyway, that's where that side sway came from. Was just from the boots started everything, and that's the challenge I have in taking on a new character. After 33 years and all the characters I've played before, how do you make this one different than all the rest? That's my challenge, because I've done Aliens from Outer Space before, and I want this one to be a little different from Cochise from Falling Skies, for instance, right? And they're both written very similarly. They both speak in perfect diction and perfect language, and they're both very gentlemanly. But I wanted to make Saru different, and so being that he's a supermodel, that helps everything now. But he also his character was he was introduced to me by the writers. They gave me the backstory that he was the prey species on his planet, and that he has lived in fear all of his life. And these threat ganglia come out as an indicator. There's an impending threat somewhere close by, like a sixth sense. So that's how I started developing all how I live and meet the day and meet other people, is with fear, and that he has to overcome this to do his duty with Starfleet. Well, then of course in season 2, episode 4 comes along, and I get sick, and my threat ganglia fall out, and I've gone through my puberty or whatever it is Kelpians do, and now I'm living in zero fear, and I have more confidence and more innate authority that I can give. And so that was they didn't tell me that was coming. That was a surprise to me, as it was to you. And so I was like, well, there's a geared shift, like, midway through season 2, and we're in overdrive. Come on now. So, but now with his responsibilities and taking over the captain's chair as much as he has, it's good to do with no fear, as opposed to terrified of everyone and everything. Yeah. So thank you for asking. Thank you. Anybody? Who? How about right here, right? The nice lady. Yes. We lost our microphone. It's okay. Just yell. Oh wait. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there's someone right there with the microphone. Okay, we'll get you right after. I'm so sorry. I didn't see. Sorry. Hi. Yes, you're on.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Nice lady with the microphone. Yes.
I'm sorry about that. For one, my niece Kayleen is a huge fan of yours, so she's absolutely jealous that we're meeting you right now.
Oh, I missed the name.
Kayleen.
Hi, Kayleen. Thanks so much for the love.
Also, I do have a question. What is your favorite episode from Star Trek Discovery thus far?
Oh, thus far. That's after 2 seasons and 29 episodes. I think it probably was big Saru episodes last season 2 were 4 and 6. Episode 4 is where I got sickly and went through my transition and change and lost my threat ganglia, and had a lovely connection with Michael Burnham in that episode too. I asked her to do a mercy killing, and we went right up to the point where everyone thinks I'm going to die. And so we went through a lot of emotion together. It was just beautiful to play out. And episode 6 is where I take this newfound courage, and we end up back at my home planet of Kaminar. And now I know something about Vahari that the rest of my people don't know. They think that's the end of their life too. And I now have the information that we can live past much longer lives than we have been living. So there you go. Yeah. So that's thank you for that, by the way. And so I think between those 2 episodes, I thought of that as one big long storyline. And the shorts too. I did a short called The Brightest Star that you can see on CBS All Access. And that was just a gorgeous backstory to show Saru as a younger boy, growing up with his sister and his dad, and how I discovered how I was the first Kelpian to be inquisitive enough to find out what else is out there, what else, and I made contact with Starfleet by regadgeting some equipment that we find from the Ba'ul, who are our oppressors. It's a long story, but that I love that short so much because I think that's where the dream is. And there was a line in that short that I'm going to forget now, but something about looking to the stars for looking up and seeing. I think we can all relate to the situation that we're in. We feel like we're trapped in it, but maybe if we imagine and dream a little bit outside of that circle, we can achieve bigger and better things. So that's what Saru has taught me. Yeah, thank you.
So how about, oh yeah, right here, the nice lady with her, there, yes.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, so we all know that you've done lots and lots of roles and different characters and worn different prosthetics and stuff, but I guess out of all of them, did you have a favorite or maybe more than one favorite?
Right, wow, right. Again, the favorites are really hard to 33 years of characters, I can't bring it all down to one that I just loved, and the rest can suck it. But the type of character I like the most is one that is a part of a redeeming story, even if it's a bad guy. You know, I like, and I like them for different reasons. That's the thing. See, Abe Sapien from the Hellboy movies I love because of his relationship with Hellboy. He's kind of the brains and Hellboy's the brawn, and they make a great, they bookend each other really, really well. The Amphibian Man from the Shape of Water, that beautiful, beautiful, heartfelt romantic story that he got to play in and be the love interest for Sally Hawkins. Billy Butcherson from Hocus Pocus is another favorite for completely different reasons. Oh, I got to be a goofy zombie. I was kind of a hot zombie too. I have had more than one person tell me over like years now that I was their first screen crush when they were a kid. Isn't that sweet to hear? But I was dead. Is that do you need to talk? Yeah. But I get it. They designed the look of Billy to be slightly handsome, so it confuses your feelings. Yeah. And the Silver Surfer was also he was so stoic and heroic, and it was probably the most handsome I've ever been on film. But that's because I was wearing a mask that reshaped my face into a handsome guy. So that was kind of fun to fantasize that I was actually good looking for a minute. So all different reasons and different characters. So, but yeah, thank you. The Fawn from Pan's Labyrinth too. Good, evil, we don't know till the very end, but yeah, I like his caregiving ways. Ultimately, yeah. No, thank you. I don't know if I even answered your question, but thank you for asking. One more. We got one more. Okay, who's got a good one? Her hand went right up right away. This one.
Okay, so if I were to get a tattoo of one of your
honey.
characters, which one, or maybe multiple, would you like for me to do?
Oh, that's a this. Oh.
I've been doing this since I was like 13.
Oh, because really? Oh, boy,
Yeah.
thank you, sweet pea.
I already have two, so I've already ruined my body. It's okay.
No, okay. You're so sweet. All right. Many people have tattoos of me or my characters on their personages, and I appreciate that. And it's giving away some of your personal real estate for little old me is an honor. Trust me, it's not lost on me. But if you want me, it's whatever me. You'll be the one wearing it for the rest of your life. So I don't know. I take kind of a quick story. I did a convention a long time ago somewhere, and a young lady came up and she wanted me to sign her forearm, just with a Sharpie.
Is that an option?
Oh,
I'll take that.
That's an option, sure. I didn't know at the time. I just thought, oh, this will wash off eventually. But here you go. She comes back 2 hours later, covered in plastic, red around the edges. I'm like, oh! So that was permanent. But she said, you're in good company, and Stan Lee was on this arm. Right? So sweet, right? Yeah. So, but I thought at the time, like, in one day, when she's old and wrinkly and dead, she'll be in her coffin, and her grandkids will be like, who the hell's Doug Jones, right? Was that an old boyfriend, or what? We don't know. So that's why I worry that don't let me decide this for you. But I think I'll tell you what. The image of the most beautiful image I think of a still shot of any character I've ever played is the final moment in The Shape of Water, where the Amphibian Man and Liza are floating, embracing each other. It's the poster of the movie. That's the image if I had to pick one. Okay? That's it? Okay. And I guess that's it for our time, too. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. I love you madly. Bye. I'll be downstairs. I'll be at my table for the rest of the weekend, okay?